Where would we be without the various products delivered by the men and women in the trucking industry? Healthy Conversations in Trucking podcast is a platform for professional long-haul truck drivers to share their journeys over the road, educating listeners about the trucking industry and lifestyle. Now, let's dive into the conversation on this brand new episode. All right. Well, I'm real excited to introduce our guest on this episode, which is Silas Harrison. Silas, how are you?
I'm fine. And yourself?
I'm good. I appreciate you taking some time and jumping on this call with me, and really looking forward to our conversation. Little disclaimer, I still sound quite congested, but that's because I had COVID for a good week and a half, and I'm testing negative and I'm feeling much better, but I still have some congestion that I don't know when it will go away, but as long as you can understand me, I guess we can keep going.
All right, I can understand and hope you feel better.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, let's just jump right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in trucking?
Okay. My name is Silas Harrison. I'm 56 years old. I've been in trucking now since about 1996. While I was in the military, I started a little small trucking company and dissolved it and started, it's the same type of work, hauling cars. So,
okay,
from 1996 to this time, yes.
Nice. So you've been you started while you were in the military and then just continued on. So you're still owner operator?
Yes,
nice.
Owner operator.
Nice. And curious, why cars?
Being in the military and shipping cars to and from and meeting the transporter or going to the port to pick up a vehicle, I started to think, what am I going to do when I get out of the military? Mm-hmm. And I like trucking. I like trucks at that point in time. From a kid, I liked trucks. My uncles were truck drivers, and my dad was a brick mason, and I said that's what I wanted to do, was drive a truck. And I got interested in the car transporters because, like I said, I shipped cars to and from my military stints, and just liked seeing the trailers and got into from there.
Oh, that's perfect. So you've got a lot of experience. Then you did that while you were in the military and then spilling over after.
Right.
So is it a huge difference? I'm sure it is, but hauling cars, in the military versus having your own company?
Well, I didn't haul the cars while I was in the military. Being a soldier, moving from place to place, I shipped my own personal cars, and that's when I met the car haulers there on the outside. But I drove a truck when I was in the military, both MOSs. I was a Patriot missile technician the last part of the career and a nuclear missile technician, and both of those missiles were pulled by a truck, and I drove both of them.
Okay.
Apparently we can't pull any missiles out here in the civilian sector, so the cars is, I'm a car guy, and that took my, interest.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Well, that's really interesting. This is I learn something every time I have an interview. I learn something new. So this is personally very interesting to me. So now you're hauling cars and have your own company. So tell me a bit about your schedule. Like, how much time do you spend on the road before you return home?
Well, I could leave home 5 o'clock on Monday morning because I'm leased to a company that hauls BMWs, mm-hmm. And I can make 2 turns to New Jersey or New York. I can go to New York or New Jersey Monday morning, 5 a.m., and empty out early Tuesday, reload Tuesday, empty out Wednesday, and reload Wednesday evening, and empty out Thursday in New York or New Jersey and reload and be back in the South Carolina area where I could empty out, reload, and come home. So I can, if I stay with it, I can do 2 trips to New York and New Jersey within the 70-hour time frame and get home late Friday night or early Saturday morning. Yeah.
That's a good routine. I remember when Jonathan had a similar type of schedule. That was, if you're going to be over the road, it's nice to have a pattern like that where you're kind of going out on Monday, getting back in time for the weekend most of the time.
Right. That's right. I just recently did vacation the first part of July. Went home and did a family reunion. Then the second part of the week, the second part of the month, the second week, I should say, we went on vacation. And then I came back, and the third week I actually went out and tried to play catch up. And you won't catch up, a week's gone and, 2 weeks down. But I've been out and, had some issues with trailer lighting, and I still managed to get the load up and find a shop up there that would work on it Monday. And this past 2 weeks, I've actually spent away from home 2 weeks and getting back today after about 6,200 miles. You do what you got to do.
Wow. I don't drive anywhere near those kind of miles.
Yeah.
That's great, though. I'm curious, is there, you mentioned like leaving South Carolina, going up to New Jersey, so up and down East Coast. Do you is that where your experience has been on the East Coast, up, up north and south on the East Coast, or have you been, traveled all around the country in the past?
I've been everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I've been with these call haulers, I've been from, before I became an owner operator and leased to this company that I'm leased to, I was a company driver for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to California numerous times. I've been to Seattle, Washington. I've been to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That's to get away from the norm, which
mm-hmm.
is the East Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a preference? Is there a part of the country that you like to travel in the most?
Well, the older I get now, I tend to stick to the New York, New Jersey, because I know what highway I'm going to run, whether it's winter or summer, rain or snow. I can do what I got to do and get back home safely. The older I'm getting here now, I don't want anything to do with. I'm definitely not going to Seattle, Washington in a truck ever again, and I don't have any interest of running to California either.
Ah, okay. Well, that's New York, New Jersey. Tell me why you like that area.
Well, car hauling is a very lucrative business. And like I said, I could leave. It's almost like if you would talk to your wife or husband in the morning when he or her is going to work. Okay, say for instance, I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
My wife dropped me off to the truck in the morning. She comes back and she gets herself together. I could actually speak to her until she gets to work. And then she goes to work and I'm still driving.
Mm-hmm.
She takes a lunch break and call me. I can take a lunch break and talk to her then. After lunch, she can go back to work. Then I go back to driving. At the end of the day, her day's ending. I'm still driving. She's get herself together and come home, cook dinner. I'm getting to where I need to be. I can get dinner and we can speak. It's just like we're talking to each other all day. It's the only difference is I've made a 10-hour trip to New Jersey or New York, and she did a work day, and we spoke throughout the day and speak during the evening. She goes to bed, I go to bed. Good night, good night. We wake up in the morning. She either wake me up or I wake her up in the same routine. And I come back, and I go back, and I come back. And I know why I'm doing it. She knows why I'm doing it. And she always knows where I'm at.
Yeah. I definitely get that. That makes a huge difference when you're trying to, just the way you described, with keeping a relationship together, keeping the communication open and having some sort of pattern. And Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So what about, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Well, maybe one more before I switch over to that. But is there, I want to know what you like the most about trucking and then what you like the least about trucking. So we'll start first with what you like the most. What would you say is the thing that you like the most about trucking?
The most about trucking is that I think is real cool that we move such large vehicles with the amount of cars and the weight up and down the highway. I mean, a lot of people have, they wave and they look, and it's an impressive type deal, and I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that too. There's always a lot of fascination with, what cars you have, and just being able to move like that. It used to scare me if I was anywhere near a truck like that. But
right.
I find myself just kind of watching how it's loaded and what's on the trailer and guessing where they may be going.
Right.
So what do you like least about it?
The least I like about it is the last 6 to 8 years, probably, the traffic has got horrendous. Monday through Friday, and even early Saturday morning, you could get to where you need to go. I mean, and I tell a lot of the younger guys, don't complain about traffic, because the definition of a truck driver is that you drive a truck. So, I don't think you drive a truck without traffic. But the weekends and the summer, it just has been unbearable. I mean, the places we could go and the time limit that we used to go, we can't even get nowhere near there. We waste so much time because of traffic, and people don't realize how dangerous they make the road. And a lot of people say, okay, you pointing the finger at the cars, and I can tell you I can. And I use a philosophy. I said to my wife, where in the world do these people got to go that's more important than their life to cut me off? Or the traffic in front of you are braking. I'm in the right lane. Traffic is braking, and they dart over in the right lane. I have a safe following distance that I have to keep. And a person in a car don't know that. But the minute they see brake lights, they want to go into my safety zone, making it their danger zone. And if I can't stop that vehicle, it's the bad truck driver that killed him.
Yeah.
The traffic is horrible.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I actually spoke to a few drivers that have raised that similar point, and a few that have even mentioned how there needs to be more training. Like when young people are just, getting their driver's license, there needs to be training somewhere in that process about big trucks, and maybe even as people get a little bit more experience, there's going to be some kind of training integrated in there where people can better understand, the weight that these trucks are hauling, and how dangerous it is, and how, like you just described, that safe following distance, and just being more educated about trucks on the road. And, what you're describing needs to be a part of that.
And, we are governed by the FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association. Now, we have to have a commercial driver license deeming us to be a professional driver to handle a Class A vehicle on the highway. But if you've got money, a lot of money, you can go out and buy a $200,000 Winnebago and travel the same highways that I travel, and don't have to have any license. And forgive me, we love our seniors, but the highway for untrained senior in a large motor coach isn't the place.
Mm,
for them, I think.
that's a good point.
I think this should be governed. I think this should be governed under the same Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association that we are.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll make a note of that. Think about that one. I'm sure others have probably come up with that. I wonder if it's ever been, if there's ever been any approach to trying to regulate that, for people who purchase motor coach and motor homes. That's a very good point.
Right.
Well, let's, I'm going to ponder that one for a little bit, but, I'm going to move into something that I like to talk about because I know that there are some health related challenges with being over the road, and drivers, people can have health related challenges just across the board. And when you're over the road driving, that just adds an extra layer to that challenge. So I'm curious to know if you deal with any health related challenges, big or small, but what is a challenge for you over the road that you feel impacts your health, and how are you addressing it?
The challenge I've had, over the years, we all get older.
Mm-hmm.
My challenge is the weight. Last year, April, when I bought the truck, we immediately put a refrigerator in the truck. And my wife food prepped for me. And I'm trying to regulate what I eat on the road because, but a lot of people don't believe it. We're climbing up and down that auto carrier. We're strapping cars down back and forth. And a lot of people say, oh, you guys should be in the best shape. But sitting behind the steering wheel 10, 11 hours, or should I say 6,200 miles. Mm-hmm. You take your 30-minute break, which is regulated by the FMCSA, and then you finish your day. And if you don't, you won't make any money because you got to get what you got to get. So what I've started doing with the food prepping is that I try to drive at least half of my 11 hours, stop and take my break, get out the truck, move around, and eat my lunch and dinner. Mm-hmm. So because I used to wait until I get to where I'm going and have my dinner. And then half hour, you're tired from the long drive and you lay down on a stomach full of food. So I changed that into eating midday or so. And then once I get to where I'm going, I may get a snack or something. And it's been watching calories and counting calories, thanks to my wife. And, truck drivers to stop and get a Coke and a bag of chips and not thinking that the calories in that Coke and the calories in the chip. But if you read the calorie count back there, it says 320 calories, but that's only for 11 pieces, 11 chips. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys just get a snack, a whole bag of chips and a Coke. If you do that every day, or 2 bags of chips every day, that's where the weight comes on and the health problem starts.
Yeah.
You're just packing on weight because you're just sitting.
Yeah. You're right. And that's a great point you make too, because when you look at the calorie count, it's always like by the serving, and you could easily assume, well, this one bag of chips has 300 calories, but then you look, there's sometimes 2.5 servings per bag. So that changes everything.
Changes everything. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the
and
food.
I'm a Coke lover, I
love
bottled Coke. And I told my wife we're shopping, and she said, get 12 packs. No. Because if it's there, I love that Coke. And if it's there, I'll drink it. Mm-hmm. And I can drink 3 Cokes, 4 Cokes going up the road. And I'm just packing on the calories.
Yeah. Yeah, people make a huge change just by taking away Coke or soda, whatever they're drinking, that sugar drink out, right, and replace them with water.
Water, right. and actually have done that these past 14 days.
Yeah.
Water and snacks, celery, carrots.
Mm-hmm.
My wife normally, I hadn't been home in 2 weeks, so I didn't get the cucumber, but she cuts up cucumbers for me and put them in little Ziploc bags. That stuff will help you. I mean, like I said, I'm 56 years old, and I could tell when I got on more than 260 pounds. I could tell and don't even have to tell. When my back hurts, like I've been in the field picking beans or whatever,
mm-hmm.
I know I'm overweight. I'm overweight at the 260 as it is, but I know I'm grossly overweight when my back starts hurting. Yes.
I love that that your wife does the meal prep. I know that helps a lot. And I also know that all the things that you're describing, like all the fruits and vegetables that are in season right now, because it's, the time this call, it's the summer. And
Right.
there's just, it's so plentiful, and you can just, it's an easy way to increase your, great food value and all that, but increase your water intake, cucumbers and all the celery things you mentioned.
Right.
Those are great. Great
That's right.
options. I love that. So that's going to help somebody right there. I know that so far I've been listening to a lot of the different, a lot of challenge with, food and getting exercise in. I listen carefully when people tell me how they're addressing it. I really like what you're doing and the changes that you're making, because those are, they'll be lasting long term. Those little shifts,
Right.
like eating in the middle of the day, breaking it up and having like your bigger meal, or in the middle of the day, and then having something lighter at the end of the day. And just that fact that you break it up like that and you get out of the truck to eat. I mean, those things make a difference, make a huge difference.
And I added a power inverter with a microwave, because this, to me, right here is number one.
Mm-hmm.
We are here to make money, so we try to drive as far as we can so we can get as close as we can for delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the end of the day, you want a shower and something to eat. Well, truck stops are designed to get your money, you fuel your truck, and empty your pockets. Well, I use that place to fuel my truck, take a shower, and then I can eat something healthy in my truck because I got the food prep and the microwave.
Yep.
The food in the truck stops, they're not bad, but they're not good either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Love those ideas. So I have one more question for you, and then we can wrap up. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of different people listening to, the podcast, listening to this episode. There are people just like me that are just curious and love to hear the stories and learn more about the industry. But you've also got some drivers out there that may be kind of new to the industry, or maybe they may be facing some of the similar challenges, that you're facing, and, really taking all this in. Do you have any bit of advice that you'd like to share with someone who may be listening? Just any tip that comes to mind?
Take a photo of yourself when you first start trucking. Your weight, and make a note of your weight and everything. And try your best in 5 or 6 years not to let that change. The trucking industry is what you pick to live. Don't let something that you pick to live start eating at you to die.
Yeah. That's a really good idea, because I think it's kind of like, it's like a accountability or awareness for yourself. Because our minds and our eyes can play tricks on us, and we get, the pounds are add up slowly, or the body starts changing gradually. But take those measurements, take photo and pay attention. I like that tip.
Right. Because at the end of the day, you're doing this to make money, to take care of yourself and your families.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the question is, are you really yes, you're making the money taking care of your family, but if you're packing on the weight and not being healthy, are you really taking care of yourself?
Yeah. That's really good. I think it's a good question to be asking. Ask yourself, probably as a good reflection every so often, kind of take note of what you're doing. Ask yourself that question. Are you really taking care of yourself? I like it. Well, Silas, thank you again for taking some time and coming on the podcast to share your journey and to chat with me and share this great insights and advice. I really appreciate it. I know a lot of our listeners are going to be able to benefit from that. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Healthy Conversations in Trucking podcast. Learn more or be a guest on a future episode by visiting healthyconversationsinTrucking.com or simply HCITpodcast.com.